Yeah, there you go.
Excellent, buddy. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this back. And welcome to the first week of our level 2 course, which is going to be running until the back end of July, actually. So lots to look forward to. And we're going to have a bit of a deep dive this morning into everything that we're going to cover sort of across the next 10 weeks or so. And of course, so we'll be on till about just in case this is the first course that you've done with us or the first time that you're sort of joining in online. Because of course we've been pretty much entirely online for the last year with COVID restrictions and stuff like that. So pretty much, of course, if you're able to watch along live, great. I'll be getting the email, the YouTube link across to you every week. Of course, being on YouTube, we've got the live chat there if you do want to jump in. If you've got anything to add, any questions, or even if we're just working through something on screen, and you might, like I say, maybe do just want to chip in with something like that. But of course, I've mentioned in an email when I've spoke to everybody, don't stress if you can't watch it live. The video is going to be available for you to watch back whenever sort of suits you. You can fit it around other responsibilities, other commitments, and then I'm making sure that there's like pretty much just like a slide on the PowerPoint, so you can always come back and just have a quick check. Right, what bits of my workbook do I need to do this week, and that sort of thing. And then, of course, as we always do, because we're trying to be as fit and healthy and as active as possible, we actually do a fitness video at the end of each session. So some weeks we'll stream it depending on what the guys are doing in the office. Other weeks we'll put the link in the description, and you can go and you can actually check out the playlist that we've got on the Media Savvy channel, and you'll be able to see all the videos that we've actually got up there. And you can pick something that suits you. I've picked you a nice sort of easy one intro today. Maybe the last year has been a little bit hectic. Maybe your health, maybe your exercise and your fitness and that sort of thing hasn't been a priority. It might be the first time that you're thinking, right, I'm going to start a new fitness journey. Where do I even start? So I've picked a nice stretching video for this morning. It's just about 20 minutes, and like I say, we'll put it at the end of the session, and you'll be able to just sort of hopefully, like I say, either today or later on in the week when you get time, just jump in, do that, have a little bit of a stretch off, start moving a little bit more, and hopefully feel a little bit better as we do start to build up the intensity in those workouts a little bit as well. As always, I'm going to make sure that there's alternative exercises in there as well. So if you sat there thinking, oh, do you know what, I'm a little bit sort of not sure what I'll be able to do, maybe you've got injuries or something like that sort of limits the sort of stuff that you're able to do. Like I say, there'll always be an alternative for each exercise in the video. And of course, reach out to me and give me a shout if there's anything that you do find that you're sort of struggling with or find it particularly difficult to sort of do. I'll always make sure that there's something you can do. Just ask any of the guys. There's no way of saying I can't do this. It's just a case of modifying it to make sure that you can do it. So don't worry. Yeah, I'll always have something for you to do. But yeah, hopefully that's something that you're looking forward to as well. Being able to get moving a little bit more, being a little bit more active, because I know that like I say, it maybe hasn't been a priority over the last year. Of course, we've got Hatham on with us this morning. You'll be seeing plenty of Hatham and Daniel, of course, throughout the duration of the course. Hatham, I know you've been back to gyms recently. I mean, you've sort of been at gyms throughout COVID and through lockdown anytime you've been able to, really.
Yeah.
How have you found the difference between being able to have access to all the facilities that you used to compared to just having to go out for a walk? I know you were doing a lot of running through lockdown as well, how are you finding that? Yeah.
Better. Although I've probably overdone it to the point where I've tweaked a few muscles here and there, so I'm having a bit of a break at the minute. But yeah, that would be my advice: is don't go don't go berserk straight away.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it wasn't necessarily weight; it was more the volume of training that I've got a bit carried away with because I could.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
been hitting the gym like 5-6 days a week when
Yeah.
possibly
Animal.
that was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm definitely paying the consequences for it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good, really enjoyed it, probably to a fault.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I think what it would be easy to do would just be go straight back into it and think, oh, do you know what? I'm feeling okay through the range of motion and the movements that I'm doing day to day.
Yeah.
I'm feeling all right through those, and then feeling that you're sort of working at this level, and then you go and start moving weight through a range that, because it's not your day to day life, you haven't been through that range for months, potentially even a year, even a year.
Or I think
I don't know how long it's been, maybe
you have been
longer.
through it, but you've not been through it at that weight.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
you've done that amount of weight, but you haven't done it that I've decreased the rest in between.
Yes,
Which is sort
yes,
of
of course.
what's knacked this time round.
Yeah,
I think is I haven't given my body enough time to catch up.
yeah. So definitely feeling it. Definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
How are you finding it in terms of being? I know that it didn't seem like you really struggled with like motivation or anything with your running and stuff like that, but it's got to be nice to have a little bit of
Better.
variety available again, hasn't
much
it? Yeah,
much better. It's just there's more on. Like there's more classes. Even if, I don't do classes, but I know loads of people are back at the gym doing classes,
yeah,
or
yeah,
PT, which is
yeah,
something that like people enjoy more than just training on their
yeah.
own.
Yeah, and of course
Which
we've sort of talked about it to death in the past as well. Fitness doesn't just have to be the gym. It
yeah,
could be these classes, you know, in a local studio, in a community centre, community hall, whatever it's going to be. It might be like a local walking group or a
yeah,
rambling group or
or
something
even
like
a
that.
partnered workout or like
Hmm. Yeah,
three people doing a workout like that. There's a lot of people doing that, like training in groups, small groups.
yeah,
Which obviously you
yeah.
couldn't like last year. Like you were on your own at home with some resistance bands and maybe some
Pretty
dumbbells.
much, pretty much, yeah. I mean, what I did try and put people onto last year a little bit was actually, if they could and they were struggling with motivation and they felt like they needed somebody to train with, FaceTime,
Yeah,
do a video call. Granted, you've only got the kit that you've both got available to you, so you're probably limited to body weight. But yeah, you know, like you say, you're able to get together with 1, 2 people now, you know, and train and spot each other, potentially training a little bit safer as well. You know, if spotting's not anything that you've sort of come across before, it's pretty much just helping your mate out when he's struggling with a heavy weight, really, isn't it? You know, making sure he doesn't get trapped under the bar and have to do the old roll of shame off to the side. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah.
smash down. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, we're all in a different position. I feel like coming out of lockdown or as restrictions are easing, you know, because of course we need to make sure that we're doing that as safely and at the right sort of time, and at the right pace as possible. But yeah, I feel as though there's so much option out there now. It can be a little bit sort of like, right, you might have decided 6 months ago, right, as things go back to normal, I'm going to start this fitness journey. I'm going to get myself to this point that I want to be. And now we've got all these options available. You know, it might be like, where do I even start?
Yeah.
You know, maybe you haven't exercised for a year, really. Maybe you've done odd bits. Maybe you haven't exercised for 10, 20 years, you know, and there's been barriers in the way, sort of, outside of COVID and stuff like that. So looking at barriers is something that we're going to sort of look at as we progress through the course and looking at how to reduce those. But I know a lot of you have done the level 1 course as well, where we look quite deep into barriers, identifying them and sort of removing them. So if we can just go, for some reason, my stream is a good bit behind.
It'll be about 30 seconds probably.
Yeah, cool. I've still got the on-air thing, actually.
No.
I haven't got anything on.
Refresh that page, mate, because we're definitely live. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Double check, but yeah, it's telling us now that it's live on YouTube. So I'll have a quick look.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know what's going on with my technology. Yeah, technology.
Might
so
just be your Wi-Fi struggling because you're
it
on
could
Zoom
be,
as
mate.
well, so it just drain it a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool.
I don't know what. As long as we
definitely
yeah,
are
cool.
live. Yeah,
Cool. So, if we can go to the first slide that just says what we're covered today, that's what I was checking to see if you'd already gone to it or not.
I'm
Yeah.
on it now.
Yeah, cool. Spot on, buddy. Cheers, man. So yeah, just a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be looking at over the next 10 weeks. So the idea for today, of course, we're looking at what the course is going to involve in terms of paperwork and what units we're going to be looking at. So we've got 4 main units pretty much that we're going to work through. And that's going to be looking at participating in vocational tasters, you know, which is a little bit sort of trying to look around and pick out areas, vocational areas, you know, areas for work, areas for volunteering, that interest you and sort of stand out to you. Then we can look at, you know, how can we start to get a little bit of experience in that area? Maybe we can volunteer. Maybe we can start looking at, of course, job positions and stuff like that. And of course, again, I think as things are opening up again, hopefully, you know, as customers and
door,
stuff like.
Sorry, guys, the doorbell's ringing.
No worries, buddy. No worries. sort of as things are opening up again, and hopefully as people rush back to sort of support small businesses and that sort of thing, hopefully there is going to be a big push for staff, so I'm sure there will be jobs available potentially popping up in vocations and areas and in industries that we maybe haven't seen so much in the last few years, so we'll be looking at how we can sort of have a little bit of a dive into finding first and foremost something that appeals to you as something that you might actually want to do as a vocation. Then we're going to be looking at using materials in a practical activity, so that's going to be a different unit that we look at. That is going to be looking at again sort of what resources we can use for carrying out a practical activity. We're going to be looking at tools and equipment we can use in sort of planning practical activities, and of course these are all going to be done in a sort of fitness scenario. So we're actually going to be looking quite a lot at circuit training, which, if you've done any of the other courses, I talk about quite a lot, being really good at sort of saving your time. Haytham will be able to vouch for that. If you're doing circuits and you're doing like one exercise into the next, and not resting very much, in half an hour, 40 minutes, you can pretty much be done, depending on what your goals are, and what targets you've set yourself. And of course, coming back to what we've looked at in the past, what components of fitness we're trying to work, there's not a lot of time where a circuit training couldn't be applied in some way, and like I say, if time is something that's been a bit of an obstacle to you, like over the years when you've tried to train, maybe you haven't got an hour to go to the gym every night. Do you have half an hour to train in the house? That sort of thing. Can we put circuits together? And of course, we're going to be looking at, if you were in the shoes of the fitness instructor, if you were the fitness instructor in this scenario, what can you use to make the job a little bit easier in terms of maybe your PAR-Q? It might be exercise cards for your circuit training and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, we're going to be looking at and designing your own actually as well across like I say, across the next 10 weeks. So yeah, we've got those 4 main units, and we'll just have a bit of a deeper look into what those units are going to sort of involve. What we are going to do, and what we can actually start doing from today, is looking at and getting familiar with how to volunteer. And like I say, just looking into different vocations, what's available, what qualities that you need, if you've applied for jobs before or applied for sort of even voluntary positions in the past, you'll be aware of the process of, the post will tell you maybe what skills the employer expects you to have, or is going to make the job easier, be it if it's a public facing position. Of course, people skills, communication skills are going to be quite good, and of course, the employer or the recruiter might actually be looking for those. So yeah, where do we go when we start looking at that sort of thing, and how do we start getting an idea of moving sort of into those more active positions? And again, be it employment or be it in a voluntary sense. So, of course, like I say, we've got 4 workbooks to do for each unit. So at the end of the course, as we're wrapping things up, those 4 workbooks should be filled in, of course, by yourself. Of course, we'll get there at the end, but I'm assuming, Haytham, all of the link to the learner info, the supplementary info, and of course the workbook that we need for today is probably in the description for the video. Spot on, buddy. Excellent. I've got no idea what's going on with my stream this morning, but yeah, I can see the description. It's all there. Of course, my email is there. If you do need to reach out, ask me any questions, send over any workbooks or whatever. But if you want to just keep hold of those as we're working through and send me them over when a workbook's full, when they're all completed, that's entirely up to you. I don't mind how you want to do it. And Haytham's very kindly put the link for today's workout video in the description as well. So that 20-minute sort of stretching video that I'd mentioned, if you can just click just under the video, there's a little drop down arrow depending what you're watching it on, and that'll have all that information there as well. Of course, anything to do with working safely online, if you're not sure who to come to bring up a concern or an issue when it comes to maybe safety online, that sort of thing, if you've got any concerns, all of that is in the supplementary learner info as well. That'll just give you an idea where to go, who to come to, and of course, as always, my email's there. If there's anything that you're not sure of, drop me an email. I'll either point you in the right direction, or I'll take that and I'll deal with that internally, sort of however we need to. So yeah, that is something to keep an eye on today. And again, every session that we do, there's going to be a lot of stuff in the description underneath the video. Again, be it the workbook that we're working on that week, be it the workout video that we're doing, or even just my email or whatever. So yeah, keep an eye on that week on week. And of course, all that information's there. Safer learning, making sure that we're being safe online, and of course, where to go if you do have a query or a concern, you know. So yeah, we'll be looking at that. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide then, please, buddy. That just says participating in vocational tasters, because that's going to be the first workbook, and that's kind of where we're going to pick up next week. So it kind of makes sense for that to be the first one that we have a little look at. So like I say, the idea really is to understand job roles and what we mean when we talk about vocational areas and stuff like that, you know. When we talk about the vocation, are we talking about, you know, it might be sort of like in the fitness industry, the sort of stuff that I've done for quite a while, and you know, what one or two of yourself have mentioned going on to actually do down the line, you know. So looking into different vocational areas and then picking out different jobs in them, you know. So we're thinking about in the fitness industry alone, you know, you've got personal trainers, you know, you might have employed staff, you know, that work in other gyms that maybe have different responsibilities within their job role, you know. It might be cleanliness within the gym, that sort of thing. Or you might be thinking about even just a secretary. You know, there's somebody working on the front desk who's maybe booking people in for their PT sessions, or booking people in for their inductions, and dealing with the paperwork and memberships and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of, even just in a gym environment, not to mention sort of the wider scope of the fitness industry as well, you know. But that's just sort of within a gym. You know, there's several different roles that you could be doing, and of course each one's going to have different responsibilities and therefore different expectations of yourself. So yeah, we're just going to be having a little bit of a look on how to find which one might be more suitable for yourself, and how to find out what those jobs are actually going to involve. And we're going to be looking at a website as well that I meant to change before I sent that link over to you, buddy. It is, yeah. I'll stick that in the chat, actually. So the link that we need is doit.life. And there we go. So I've stuck that in the chat there, and that is just going to be where you need to be going for the volunteering side of things that we're going to be looking into. I've just seen Sue's getting in the chat this morning as well. So for some reason, my video's lagging and not showing us a single thing, but I've got the chat. So as long as I've got the chat, guys, I can see what's going on, and I can actually talk to you. It's a nice one. Morning, Sue. Thank you for jumping in. I hope you're well. You know, I hope your plan to get back to swimming's going well, and of course you're able to do that, and you've sort of made tracks to making that part of, you know, your routine, you know, be it a weekly routine, be it might even be a fortnightly routine, you know, depending on how you're going to do it. So yeah, how are you getting on with that? You know, like I say, I'm quite interested to know how things are with that sort of thing. You know, I've got much more of an idea what's going on in gyms when it comes to, like I say, swimming baths and stuff like that. Another really good option for fitness and exercise. I'm not really sure what is happening at the minute with restrictions. So by all means, do let us know. I'm just saying there, you like the admin side. That's exactly it. You know, we've all got personal strengths. We've all got personal qualities. We've all got stuff that we feel better at. You know, I feel better talking to people and engage with people than I do doing the admin side of stuff, you know. So a PT was always a better option for me than being a secretary. You know, I've always had a lot of energy. I find it hard to sit still in one place for a while, you know, especially when I'm in that sort of environment. I'm always wanting to bounce around the place. So yeah, being engaged, working with people, being able to share that enthusiasm, you know, I think led me quite naturally into that job role, you know. And then of course from there I can look and I can identify, right, what qualifications do I need, what personal skills do I need to maybe work on, you know, when it comes to I was sort of thrown into PT in a self-employed capacity. So straight away, having been employed all my life, I'm now in a position of budgeting, finance, recruiting, trying to build your own client base. And that's all aspects of the job that I didn't consider until I started doing it. I was thinking, oh, do you know what? I can stand on a gym floor and sort of tell people what to do, you know? And then, of course, the more you do it, the more you start to dig in, the more you realize what you actually need to be doing in that job role. So again, identifying that can give you an idea what qualifications are you going to go and do. That's exactly what I did. I thought, right, that's what I want to do. I want to be a personal trainer, right? And I need at least my level 3 diploma. How do I sign myself up for that? I can go away and do that and sort of get that done, and all of that came from just identifying where I wanted to go and what it was that I wanted to do. And again, that's not to say that everybody is going to go into it in a fitness capacity. You might be thinking about, hairdress. It might be a hairdressing or a beauty capacity that you're thinking about. Maybe it's construction. There's a lot of there are a lot of vocations out there. And I guess that's kind of the first thing that we're going to look at next week. We're going to be looking at, what options are even out there. Because, of course, if you don't know what's out there, how do we start to whittle it down and narrow it down and realize what it is that you want to do? Sue says, got a very logical head most of the time. Yeah, most of the time. And, of course, that would probably lend you towards certain specific roles and sort of areas to maybe sort of look into if that was something that you wanted to do. So, again, just being able to identify your own likes, dislikes, strengths and weaknesses as well. What aren't you very good at? What would you need to potentially get a little bit better at before you were able to go and do that job? So there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot that we're going to get into as we're working through this unit. So again, we're looking at skills, qualities, knowledge needed for different jobs. But of course, we're going to be using that website, doit.life. Again, I've put that in the
I wonder if I can. Is it doit.life? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And I'll just show it on screen.
Excellent, buddy. Oh, nice one. So eventually the aim is going to be hypothetically or even better, really like actually signing up and doing a little bit of digging into what volunteering work's possible and what's available local. Hopefully that's going to give you a step into the sort of the vocation of the area that you can see yourself sort of working in and staying in. And hopefully finding you that it's almost like a first step on the ladder, isn't it? Just sort of, it's like potentially a stepping stone. You realize that's where you want to be. What's the first step that you can take? And in a lot of cases, doing a little bit of volunteering and becoming familiar with the process of researching volunteer positions can actually give you a little bit of a leg up and give you an idea and open a few doors, I guess, as much as anything.
Well, it's a route back to like working, but it's also like a way for you to give back as well. Like some people don't want to work, but some people quite gladly volunteer. Some people can't
really
work.
Good point, yeah.
So,
My cousin was like that actually. Now you mention it, he was like you say, some people are just whatever circumstances are, don't want to work, unable to work, or whatever it is, But yeah, like you say, just being able to give back, it was something that I didn't really.
You've got people who are like retired or
of course, yeah.
They don't need to work in whatever capacity, or they can't. Some people have health conditions or whatever. That means
of course, but
volunteering is a viable option for them, because especially at the minute, like loads of them are do it like from home sort of thing. So
yeah, definitely. You see even a lot of sort of stuff coming up. Like there's a whole sort of business and there's a whole sort of market built around this idea of Skillshare now, isn't there? And like I've spent my life doing this, let me pass it on to you. Whereas retiring or having a lot of experience and just volunteering is exactly the same thing. You just passing your experience on, and you like you say, if you've maybe got a lot of experience doing something, and like Hatham says, it is just a way of sort of giving back as well, so maybe that's something that interests you as well. So that is something that we're going to be getting into, and like I say, identifying skills, qualities, information that you might need to go and do it. Health and safety issues we're going to be looking at, risk assessing jobs, risk assessing a workplace, making sure that an area is sort of suitable for purpose. Again, the scenario we're going to be looking at is going to be a fitness, it's sort of like a fitness setting. Is the area that we've got fit for use for a circuit? Is stuff away? How can we identify what might cause a risk to people and to yourself, and how do we minimize that risk as well? We've sort of mentioned analyzing your own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to jobs and volunteering and stuff like that. positives and negatives of certain job roles is something that I always think is important to do at this, certainly at this stage of the process, because it's sometimes you'll put a lot of effort and a lot of intent into getting yourself into a certain position or into a certain role, without really realizing that there are aspects of that job that don't really appeal to you. It might be the working hours. It might just be that is a job that you'd really love to do, but that position that you've applied for requires you to work weekends and evenings, and you might have the kids to look after, that sort of thing. So you've got to think about pros and cons of each job as well. Is it a job that you like the idea of, or a position that you like the idea of, and then you think about it, and you're going to be working in isolation all day. It might be delivery driver, that sort of thing, where you don't really see very many other people. Stock worker, warehouse worker, you might not see very many people day to day, and that is enough to be sort of like a bit of a deal breaker when it comes to a job, or it's going to add potential stresses to the job, isn't it? And you're not going to be quite as natural and quite as sort of you're not going to flow quite as well in that job, because it doesn't, I guess, in identifying it and picking out that that's going to be a thing in the first place, and getting yourself sort of prepared for that. Because if you then get into that job or into that position, and then it comes as a bit of a surprise that you're working in isolation or working by yourself a lot, or there's this part of the job that you didn't really think about, by that point, you've potentially put a lot of effort into getting into that position, so that is why we're going to be just thinking about those skills, and just thinking analytically about the job positions that we're looking at, the volunteer positions that we're looking at, and making sure that as much as possible, it sort of suits your strengths and weaknesses, and that sort of thing as well. And ideally, I guess, trying to find something that you're suited for, because I feel like that's where a lot of people fall down. We're not everybody's lucky enough to have a job that suits them down to the ground, and for a lot of people, it might be paying bills. And I think certainly with the way the economy has been the last year, it's anybody with a job is lucky to have a job. I think that is worth acknowledging. But definitely, I think that you get a lot more sense of purpose. There's a lot more motivation that comes when it is something that interests you, and it is something that is a passion. It's why I moved into what I do and have done. I was working in one job. It wasn't fulfilling me the way that I wanted to be, or the way that I thought I could be best used. I didn't feel like it brought out a lot of my best qualities. So I went away and got qualified in something that I thought did, really, buddy. Haytham, I know you've been with Media Savvy a while, but how did you figure out that you wanted to and would be best positioned in sharing your knowledge with everybody else? Because you guys on the digital side are mint at what you do. Like, you really are. You blow my mind every time I see it. And it's figuring out how you're even gonna gravitate towards that sort of thing, because it seems,
I think it's just one of them things where you sort of just fall into it a little bit, but it's because it suits you. Like, so you can do it. So when someone suggests it, it's not like, oh well, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. It's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, it wasn't really a target, but I've always done bits and pieces of like teaching, and when I've worked in other jobs, like done like floor walking and stuff to show people how to do certain things, and I was like, I could probably do it. Just like I say, sort of almost fall into it in a way.
And sometimes, quite a lot of the time, with the right thing at the right time, like that is sometimes how it's going to be, or definitely how it's going to feel.
But if someone said to us, do you want to do that, and I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't. If I didn't think I was suited to do it, I wouldn't at least try.
Exactly.
But sometimes you try something and you hate it. I've had jobs in the past where I've sort of just, like I say, hated them.
Yeah. Do you know what? And like, that is often either due to it not suiting yourself in terms of your strengths and weaknesses, or whatever it is, or an aspect of the job that you probably could have identified early doors. That's not always going to be the case. Like there's going to be other stuff as well.
Sometimes you underestimate how hard something will be, or you overestimate your skills in that area. For example, maybe you haven't had the right training yet, and maybe you do need to do a bit more training and stuff within that.
Yeah, and again, looking at the position this early on at this part of the process, you know, we can you can start to get an idea of, okay, like, I do like the idea of that. I've got this qualification. I thought I was going to be, I believe in my skills to go and do it, but they're asking for the next qualification up. How do I then go and seek out that next qualification up, or whatever it might be, you know? And again, it might be certain things like other skills, you know, time management, budgeting, you know, managing finances, that sort of thing. And again, you know, just being able to look at the position from the outside before you get there, you're going to be able to break it down and give yourself a little bit of an easier time and being able to succeed at it when you do get there. You know,
it's about finding the right sort of one, isn't it? You know, there'll be something out there for you. It's just finding it.
Definitely, yeah. You know, and I do feel as though we should all aspire to do something that sort of makes you want to get out of bed on the morning. You know, that sort of gives you that sense of fulfillment, be it whether there's stepping stones along the way. You know, like you say, we both work jobs that we didn't particularly like, but we both always sort of had an idea of, right, this isn't the end goal. You know, that you've always got a target of, right, this is where I'm going to move on to.
And I wouldn't let that put you off either. You know, there's always time to make a change in some respect.
Absolutely, yeah. It is. So I guess the idea is this unit's going to be built around trying to build up as good an idea of what suits you or what you're looking for, and then being able to work on not only finding and locating these jobs and volunteer positions and how you would apply for them, but breaking them down and just sort of seeing what would be expected of you, and making sure that it is something that still sort of interests you afterwards. Cool. Right, buddy. Cool. So that is going to be the first unit. We'll not go too deep on that today. I know we've sort of gone, we've sort of skimmed the surface a little bit, but we've got that to start working on next week, and we'll get into that next week. So just having a little bit of a look ahead to what's coming sort of after that. If we can go next slide, please, buddy. Sue says, care about people and love knowing I've helped them in a really small way. That's exactly it. You know, you don't have to be giving somebody the shirt off your back. You know, it can literally just be passing on a little bit of information that somebody gave to you. You know, or just helping with something that they're struggling with or something like that. And it says you've got to take risks in life. If it's not for you, at least you gave it a serious go. That's exactly it. You know, I was. Again, PTing was a little bit of a risk for me. I didn't know if it was going to be sort of my calling or anything like that. You know, I didn't know if I was going to go away and do my qualification and then get into it. And you know what, that would have been a bit of a bummer to go away and do my qualification and then realize that I just didn't like the job.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that comes down from sitting down and actually thinking about the reality of that position if I was in it, you know, and how suited that would be. And of course, I gave it the old green light and went and did it. And never sort of looked back since, really. Right, buddy. So if we are on the if we can be on the slide that says the use of materials in a practical activity.
Yeah, I'm on that now. I'll just give it a chance.
Spot on, buddy. Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah, I've still got the on-air screen. I don't know what is happening. Technology, mate. Technology. So yeah, the use of materials in a practical activity. Yeah, we're going to be looking at that's going to kind of run alongside the unit where we're using tools and equipment as well, because it's all this bigger idea of using stuff in a practical activity to help make your job a little bit easier, you know. And in this case, it is going to be you delivering a fitness class or potentially delivering a fitness class, and materials that we can use to make that a little bit easier. And what we're actually going to be doing, you're going to be designing your own circuit cards, pretty much like we've got the example of on the screen, you know. So that might have what exercise it is, what muscles that they use, what equipment you should be using, and should have access to, safety tips so somebody can do their exercise as safely as possible, and making sure that they're not putting themselves or other people at risk. You know, we've all I'm sure we've seen that person in the gym, or we've seen something going on in the gym that doesn't look the safest. as an instructor, trying to sort of reduce that and minimize that. As a gym goer, if you feel comfortable to go over and maybe mention something, that's entirely up to you. But of course, if not, just remove yourself from the vicinity. If somebody's going to get hurt hoying stupid weights around and doing daft things, you don't want to be anywhere near that.
No.
When it comes to from a fitness instructor's point of view, I can't really vouch enough for how handy it is to have something like circuit cards if you're in charge of 10 people at once, and each station might have, so circuit training, if you've set up a load of stations, maybe you've got 10 stations, there's a different exercise on each one, you've got 10 people in the class, so every single round you've got somebody on each station. That's a lot to manage. That is a lot to manage if somebody, especially if 2 or 3 people get to a specific exercise and go, what was it I was meant to be doing again? Can you come over and show us? If they've got 30 seconds before their next exercise round begins, and you've got 5 people needing showing what the exercise was again, that's impossible to get around. Everybody, you're going to have people stood wasting their set time, that they're going to be still going, I don't know what to do, or potentially even worse, you're going to have people giving it a go unsafely, in a way that, they maybe are arching their back, or, we can see from this one of the safety tips, just making sure that you've got good form and making sure that you've got, that your back's in the position that it should be.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, if I've had kittens when I've turned around and just seen one person doing something wrong, and I'm like, right, I've got to get over there and correct that before they hurt themselves, and again, stuff like these circuit cards can reduce the amount that you need to do that, and can save the amount of people that you need to do it to at once, because you've only got one set of eyes, you've only got one set of hands, and in that circuit setting you can only be in one place at a time, really, so making sure that kind of everybody that isn't sort of in your immediate vicinity is able to approach a station and do what it is that they need to do safely. And of course, the more confident that person feels that they're doing it right, the more they're going to push themselves and the more they're going to apply themselves, because they're not doubting themselves and holding them back. I found that across the years as well. Maybe you found that, buddy. When you're confident that you're doing it right, and maybe it's because I know you've worked with a PT, when you've had a PT with you, knowing that they're checking your form and they're going to correct your form, do you feel like you can push that little bit harder? You're not at less risk of hurting yourself.
Even when you've just got a spotter or whatever, it just helps. It helps to, if you make a mistake, there's someone there. It's not just all on you to sort it all out, sort of thing.
Yeah, which definitely. Really bit of peace of mind.
Yeah,
bit of peace of mind. It's right, if I'm doing something wrong, that person's going to let me know. Right, I can really push myself on this set. Yeah. Whereas if someone approaches a station and they're like, oh, there's dumbbells here and I know I need to use them for something, but I don't really know what, and then you see them, they're just winging it and doing whatever, if they're not 100% what they're meant to be doing, they're going to be a little bit dubious, they're going to be a little bit sort of restricted and limited in how much they are going to push themselves. So there's a lot of reasons and there's a lot of benefits really to using these materials, especially stuff like circuit cards. In terms of organization and just keeping things flowing the way that you want it to, I found not using stuff like this is the easiest way to just descend into chaos, because people are like, was that a station, or is that just is somebody else in the gym using that? Should I be using these skipping ropes, or has somebody left them out? And then you get to the end of your circuit and the timer finishes and people are going, well, I've still got 3 stations to do. And everyone's going well, I've done the same one twice because it just sort of kept going. And you're like, right, okay. So some people have missed stations, maybe some people have skipped them, and that sort of thing. And like I say, especially if we can see in the top left-hand corner on that example card, there's the number 1. Having them numbered is just an easy way of making sure that people follow the flow round, and it just keeps everybody organized. Pretty much. I have had that a couple of times when you get to the end and you end up with 2 people trying to use the same station at once, and you're like, something's gonna miss here. Yeah, someone's not done what they should have. And of course, really, in that situation, I guess you could just take it as, right, I haven't made it clear enough what people need to do. That was the way that I always interpreted it, and that was the way that I would always use it to inform the next class that I did, that idea of, okay, these people went walkies, they went wandering off over there. What am I going to do next time to make sure that that doesn't happen? Because ultimately, people are there to work and do what they're told. It's up to me to make sure that it's as clear as possible and they know what they're doing. Again, if they're stood there talking while I'm telling them what to do, and it's sort of because they haven't been listening that they don't know what they're doing, you're going to get that as well. But the best chance that you give yourself is just being as organized as possible. I've always made them people do a forfeit. Like if I'm stood here telling you what these 10 exercises are, don't you dare in 5 minutes time be saying to me, what was this one again? You asked me that once, and you're going to be doing burpees or a lap around the gym.
Burpees, that's what I said. Exactly it.
Or something like that, definitely. So yeah, there's of course a lot of stuff that can sort of vary. There's a lot of variables that can change session to session, but yeah, it's all about giving yourself the best chance for success, really, and to deliver a good session that's going to keep people safe and moving towards goals, and hopefully keep them coming back as well. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to using these sorts of cards. So that is something that we're going to be looking at sort of as we go a little bit deeper into the course. And like I say, you guys are actually going to get a chance to design your own, even like I say, just hypothetical course that you're going to be sort of delivering to me and explaining through. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys come up with. I've seen a lot of different designs over the years. I know a lot of you guys are a lot more creative than I am. With me, it's stickman central. Like when I'm drawing my little diagrams, it's stickman all day long, because I'm definitely not creative. But even that can be really helpful, if we can see. Yeah, you know what, from this card that we've got on screen, you could walk up and say, right, okay, I am doing a standing military press. What was that again? I've got a little picture there. There's a bloke. He's obviously got the weights at sort of shoulder level, eye level maybe, and he's just going to push that up and above his head. And of course, we know that we should be using dumbbells. We even know what muscles we've got involved as well. We can see deltoids and triceps. So we know really where we should be feeling it. Like, if you get 30 seconds in and you're feeling it more in your lower back than in your shoulders,
something's wrong.
Exactly, yeah, are you arching your back? Have you got your chest pushed out too much? That sort of thing. And that is where you can, hopefully the instructor or you in this case will be able to go over to somebody and say, look, just straighten up, engage your core, take an arch out your back or whatever it might be. And again, keeping it safe. But even just having that picture just increases somebody's chances of being able to just walk up and go, right, what is it I'm doing? Okay, let's go, bang, 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 60 seconds working as hard as I can, or however long your circuit is going to be. And then right on to the next one. Because like I say, circuits can be really sort of hard, fast, and then, like I say, within half an hour you can be done. So yeah, there's not going to be much standing around and resting. No. You'll have probably found that yourself, buddy, if you've done circuits or supersets, giant sets, all of that sort of stuff. There isn't much standing around and recovering. No.
Nothing. You get nothing.
Definitely. And of course, we're going to look when we get to that point about how do you decide whether your rounds are going to be 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, what different components of fitness are you going to develop, by setting those sort of parameters out, because that was always something that I would focus on, what is the intended outcome of your class, I guess. What's the benefit that you're trying to give to people that are coming up and attending your class? Is it moving better? Is it, aerobic endurance? Is it muscular strength? Of course, all of that stuff we've covered on the level 1 as well. So we're going to be looking at how we actually apply that, and of course how we use that in practice, and again how we use that in that practical activity, and how we can prepare and plan, because of course not just fitness, but do you know what, when it comes to anything, your planning phase, your research phase, your organization, they're pretty much going to make or break how easy the job is that you've got. Again, be it a presentation that you've got to do, planning, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I know that of course you've done public speaking, presentations, all of that sort of stuff. How much easier it is if you've got a plan. Do you know what I mean? If you've taken a little bit of time to plan, research, feel comfortable with it, with whatever it is that you're doing, those are all skills that apply to a lot of vocational areas and not just fitness, you know, so they really are transferable. So they'll be handy to sort of work on and start to identify as we work through the course. Okay, buddy, cool. So if you don't mind just going next slide then, please, mate. Same again, just looking at the unit that's going to go sort of hand in hand with the using materials. So using tools and equipment is going to be a lot to do with looking at fitness testing kit, you know, what how you might use fitness testing kit, and I guess more importantly, how you use that safely as well. You know, how can we use that safely? Again, reducing risk to people. We've talked about, you know, beforehand, if you're going to ask somebody to stand on the scale so you can take their weight, you need to make sure that they've got balance, you know, enough to stand on the scales. All of that sort of thing, you know, if we're using like a blood pressure monitor or a blood pressure cuff, we need to make sure that it's not on too tight and it's going to nip the person and all of that sort of stuff. You know, again, just reducing risk to, in this case, your client, you know, your hypothetical client. How do we reduce risk when we're using stuff like not only equipment, be it kettlebells, battle ropes, medicine balls, all of that sort of thing. We're going to be looking at, you know, using fitness testing kits safely as well. You know, I've seen people go to use a box to do a box jump to almost sort of like determine their maximum jumping height or their maximum vertical. And again, depending on the individual, that wouldn't be my go-to. You know, can you just put them alongside a height chart or something like that? If you're not 100% sure that that person's going to clear the box, you know, you're running the risk of them not making it all the way, slipping, smashing their feet in, catching their feet, smashing their shins, I've seen done. So again, even when we're testing fitness, we need to make sure that we're doing it safely.
Not getting carried away on the first day.
Exactly, you know, being realistic, and of course, again, when it comes to actually carrying out that circuit, that fitness class, you know, we're going to be looking at how do we make sure that the area is fit for purpose, you know, making sure that there's no spills, there's nothing to trip over, there's no other members using that space or, you know, doing something that might be present a risk to anybody doing your class. All of that sort of thing, and of course, like I say, different bits of equipment as well, you know, because we've got the more basic stuff, like, you know what, it's easy to drop a weight on your foot and it really hurts. Then you've got other stuff like a medicine ball. The more you use it, it might start to split, you know, and it might actually start to get lighter as you're using it. So it says 6 kilograms on the side, and by the time you're using it, it's actually down to 3 because the sand is like scattered halfway across the gym. You know, I've seen that quite a lot. But you know what, I've also seen people do that with quite a heavy medicine ball, get that above their head, look up to see where it is, and have the sand fall into their eye. And that's the last thing that you need when you've got a 20 kilogram medicine ball above your head. You don't need to be sort of compromised with your vision and in a position where you need to get that weight down quick, because of course you're more likely to drop it on yourself and actually hurt yourself. So, you know, there's a lot of little things like that, you know, which certainly didn't occur to me, certainly as a gym user. Again, until I went away and got my qualification, and I needed to think about it a little bit more from the client's point of view. So stuff like that is stuff that we can have a look at a little bit later on in the course as well. And again, we're going to apply that to your fitness session. That when it comes to delivery, all you're going to be doing is either taking pictures of your fitness cards and emailing them to me, or if you would rather, we could do a one-to-one Zoom call and you could talk me through them. Whatever works best for you. But just to just to clarify now that you're not going to be speaking in front of everybody else, you know, when you're not going to be in this position, you know, you're not going to be talking in a presenting to a room full of people or you know, anybody else that's on the course. It's either just going to be to myself, or even, you know, maybe it's even more preferable for yourself, just taking some pictures and sending them over via email as well. So don't stress about that too much, you know. But that is just to give you an idea what it is that we're going to be building up towards, and some of the stuff that we're going to be carrying out, and just some of the tasks that you're going to be doing as we are working through the rest of the course. And then if we can go on to that next slide, please, buddy. The last unit that we look at is developing practical skills and techniques. So That is, again, skills, abilities that you're going to actually put into practice, that they're going to be practical in potentially loads of different vocational areas. And again, we're looking at it in a bit of a fitness capacity. So again, how should a gym instructor conduct themselves? What's expected of them? What are they expected not to do? What is an induction process? Maybe you've been to a gym before, maybe you've had an induction, maybe it's not anything that you've come across before. What would you expect in an induction? I've always said it's a really good idea to get a feel for the gym as well, and maybe the personnel in the gym. If your induction is just like, right, there's that over there, and there's that over there, see you in a bit, cheers, just sign here, like, are you going to feel confident going up to somebody later on and saying, look, I'm not really sure how this machine works, will you come and give us a hand? Maybe you will, that's your decision to make. But I've always sort of tried to make the inductions that I've delivered, of course, representative of the way that I PT, the way that I work. A lot of my philosophies, I would make a point of saying to people, right, what's your goals? Right, what equipment is going to be best suited to your goals and to help you get there? Right, I'll show you how that works first, so you can come in and crack on with the stuff that's going to be most effective, rather than like tell you how 30 machines work. You figure out which ones are best for yourself and probably only remember the first two anyway, so, and at the same time, that person then knows that you're engaged in their goals. You're actually showing a little bit of interest in what it is that they're trying to do. If they then feel like they need to come and ask a question, they're going to feel so much more comfortable. And of course, that is one of the big themes that we're going to be looking at, because the more comfortable your client is, the better results you're going to get. And you're going to have an easier job in keeping them engaged, keeping them safe, keeping them focused, and to an extent, keeping them sort of listening to the instructions that you're giving them and the guidelines that you're giving them. Yeah, definitely. It is building that trust and building that relationship. I have, it's something that I've always strived to do. But of course, naturally, some people respond better to people than others. I've had people come to me for an induction, and just the vibe that I've got from them through their induction has been like, right, okay, you might actually be better suited with that PT over there, you want to come in and do a load of strongman and lift a load of heavy weights, like Rob's not necessarily your guy, but I'll point you to whoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've actually sent people to other gyms before. I've pointed people in the direction of course, physios and all of that sort of stuff. Maybe specialist strength and conditioning if that's what you thought that you needed. But a good fitness instructor through an induction should be trying to get it's your chance to get a read on that person and just come to understand their needs, because if you don't understand their needs, how can you meet them, and how can you excel in your delivery of what it is to match those needs, because that is the idea, assess what that person needs and help deliver it to them, really. So yeah, that is something that I've always sort of been aware of when I've been to gyms myself, the induction process. How quick are the staff to just sort of get it done and put you on your way, and how much do they actually seem like they're engaged in what it is that you're going to be doing? So maybe, as we're coming out of lockdown, maybe you are thinking about a gym, you're going to go and maybe entertain a couple, have a look around a couple, see which one you're going to sign up with. That is something you could think about, how the induction process leaves you feeling, how confident and how comfortable you feel with that member of staff or with that group of staff, and of course the equipment that's available as well. That's something that you're going to be thinking about if you are wanting to get a load better at running. For example, you might not want to go to an old school sort of pump and iron sort of gym where they don't have any treadmills and they've just got a load of squatting racks and they've got a load of heavy old barbells and dumbbells and weights and stuff like that. At the same time, if you want to do a load of strength training and work on your muscular strength, and you go to a gym and you look, okay, they've got no weights past 30 kilograms. There are ways to train through that, but you might need to think to yourself, okay, do I know enough about training and all of that sort of stuff to reach my goals with a maximum of 15 kilogram dumbbells, you know, or do you need to look elsewhere at something that's got equipment that suits you a little bit better?
Yeah. And
You
are
know,
your goals right as well? That's the other thing.
you what? Sorry,
Are
bud.
your goals right? Like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what you're aiming for right for you, or is it you trying to do what someone else maybe is just doing?
Yes, that is something that we've talked about a little bit in the past as well, you know, and something that, again, if that is something that, even if you haven't done the level one, I'm guessing that you probably have done the level one. I know most of you have, and then you've progressed onto this course. If you haven't and you just want to go and check out that components of fitness video, that is really quite helpful in helping you understand the different components of fitness and breaking down what's most important to you, and of course how you can then go on and develop the ones that are more important to you. Like we sort of mentioned before, it's pointless going out and running a half marathon every day if you are wanting to work on your flexibility, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. If you wanted to get a little bit stronger, going in and doing 100 reps at a time on a really, really light weight, it's probably not going to be as beneficial as doing heavier weight but less repetitions, you know. So again, if you do want to go back and check that video out, by all means do. If that's not anything that you've had access to yet, but it's something that you'd like to check out, again, drop me a message and I'll hook you up with a link just to that session, so you can have a little bit of a deeper dive into that. But yeah, that is a really good point, Hatham. It is all too easy to get dragged into what other people are doing, especially if you are new to the gym. You know, maybe he's not as experienced in the gym, maybe he's feeling a little bit out of your depth. You maybe don't want to be the person that looks like they're walking around like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'll just either copy what that person's doing over there, or I'll just bring a mate. And as long as there's two of us doing the same thing, it doesn't look half as bad.
Yeah,
you know, I've seen that philosophy before. It's like, you know, a little bit of peace of mind for yourself. So making sure that you are doing something that is going to get you where you've decided that you want to be. And if you haven't decided where you want to be, you know, now's the time to start having a little bit of a think about that, you know, thinking about the why. You know, it might be why you've enrolled on this course. Why are you going to the gym? That was the first question I used to ask everybody when it came to PT. I'd be saying like, well, why now?
Yeah.
Why is it now as opposed to 6 months ago or in 6 months' time? You know, what is it that you actually wanting to do? For some people, initially they say, oh, well, I just want to get fitter. You're like, okay, great, we can do that. Why do you want to be fitter, you know? Are you planning on going out and doing a park run, you know, with your mate? Or do you just want to, you know, be able to chase the grandkids around the garden without getting out of breath, get up the stairs without getting out of breath, maybe even, you know, after the way the last year's been, you know, after living with lockdown and all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, identifying where you want to be and why is really important, not just in giving you a bit of focus and a bit of structure, but to keep you motivated as well. Like, if you've had a long day and you think to yourself, oh, I've got to do my exercise now. It could be the gym, it could be going out for a walk. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, I'm not really feeling it today. Like, it's been a long one. It's Friday. I just want the weekend, you know. If you say to yourself, oh, well, my goal was just to be fitter, you'll be like, well, it's a little bit vague, you know. You've probably already hit that because you've been to the gym X amount of times. You're probably fitter already than when you weren't going to the gym at all. But thinking to yourself, right, okay, those days where the grandkids do come round and I do want to be able to chase them, you know, that is going to motivate you a lot more to go for that walk or for that bit of exercise or to do that activity, rather than just having a goal of, oh, I want to be fitter. You know, give yourself that little bit more, give yourself a little bit more drive because you're being more specific, you know, and really you're learning about yourself. That's the way I've always viewed it. You're learning about yourself and your own wants. And like I say, that's the best way to give yourself an idea where you're going to proceed from there, really. So yeah,
I mean, you can change your plans, can't you? Like, sort of halfway.
Oh, of course you can. Yeah.
And you're like, well, okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've come across before, where people are like, right, I want to tone up and I want to develop lean mass, but I also want to lose body fat at the same time. And I'm like, right, okay, given that we've got almost an unlimited time frame, you know, we're not working towards a wedding, we're not working towards, you need to lose this amount of weight to urgently to go in for a heart bypass or something like that, or another operation. You know, we've got time. Why don't we really focus on one and then really focus on the other, and just do them both really well, you know. And then
you'd be much better off doing that, aren't you?
Yeah, you're potentially going to save yourself time. It was something that actually makes me think about a little bit of advice that my dad gave us on a racing game when I was younger, because I would never break. It was just no. It was just like I would just hold accelerate all the time, smash into the barriers. And my dad said, if you tried slowing down, you'll go faster. I was like, you what? If I slow down, I'll go faster. Yeah. And the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. You make less mistakes. You're much more focused, and you can actually, like I say, focus on doing the job rather than rushing it. You know, and in this sense, you can actually hit the ground running. You know, you can actually say to yourself, right, this is what I'm going to do to build lean mass first, and I'm going to do that for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it's going to be. Maybe you ask somebody at the gym to help you put that in place and to determine how long that's going to be. Then from there, you might realize, okay, like I'm quite happy with where I'm at from there. I'm not going to totally stop doing that, but I'm going to change up my training to, right now I'm going to do more of this. I might be doing more stretching, I might be doing more cardio, or I might be doing more strength work, and that's not to say that what you do for a time is going to be forever. But, like I say, being consistent and for a certain amount of time is really going to help you make that progress. And like I say, the more structured you are, the faster you're going to get there. It's the old failure to plan's a plan to fail, so they say, isn't it? So yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? Those would be one of the first people I would approach. There was 2 groups of people I would approach on the gym floor when I was potentially... It like you say, sort of floor walking. The aim, of course, is to potentially generate leads for PT and stuff like that. But I guess really the aim first and foremost is to touch base with people, find out about them, approach them, start to build up a little bit of a relationship. Yeah. And I would approach the people that were on the treadmill for maybe more than half an hour at a time. What's your goals? Indirectly ask, why have you been on the treadmill for the last half an hour? What is it? Yeah, what is it that you're actually trying to achieve? Because I might be able to, again, point you in the direction of something that's going to get you a little bit more. Or the people that would walk through the gym floor and quite obviously start to decide there and then what it was they were going to do. Yeah. You're like, right, what's free? What can I get on today? What can I use? Let's have a look. Somebody's posted a good back session today. I'll do back. Whether like one of your goals might be, you want to put a little bit of size on your legs or develop your leg strength or something like that, but you don't really know what you're doing. You're just getting suckered into these posts that other people are putting out. Haytham mentioned it earlier on, getting dragged into what other people are doing. You're like, okay, I'll do it, yeah. More Farah trains like this, and he's built like that, and I wouldn't mind looking like that, so I'm just going to do what he does. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it might actually not be the most beneficial to you and your individuality, be that your needs, like I say, your abilities, or like I say, even just your goals. So I do feel like sort of breaking that down and like sort of having a bit of a look at that can definitely speed up the process. And again, the aim at the end of the day, really, through all of this, is to help your client feel comfortable. If you're in the position where you are the fitness instructor, you want to just build up as good a experience every time they're in your vicinity as possible, really. Because if you found yourself in that line of work, probably stands to reason that you should enjoy trying to get the most out of people and pushing people, and you want to help people get to where they want to go. So your aim, in order to make that more realistic and more possible, of course, is to just give people good experiences when they come to do it. Somebody comes along and has a bad experience, and they're like, I asked for a little bit of help today, but the instructor didn't give us a time of day. And then when he did come over, it was all up in me personal space. And then when I finally got my induction, he was on his phone, and when he was showing us like how each exercise works, he was talking to somebody on the next machine, like in between every set. It's going to leave that person feeling a little bit trying to think of the right word. Maybe it's alienated. It does make them feel a little bit
not like valued.
Yes, yeah, definitely, like a little bit of a sore thumb, because they're left in that position. Maybe it's probably even worse that they've come into that situation and thought, oh, do you know what, I'm going to get taken care of now, like I don't need to worry about that, and then find yourself in the middle of the gym floor on a machine that you don't really know how to use it, and you're not really getting the feedback that you need to be able to use it. Yeah. And then that is where, like, oh my god, everybody in the gym's looking at me like, I don't know how to use this, am I going to hurt myself? And really, you know, sooner or later, that's the sort, they stop coming back. You know, they stop coming back, and you know what, the realization is that they probably haven't gone to a different gym. They've probably just lost interest in their fitness journey, potentially because you've put more barriers in the way than they were already facing, you know. And really, our job is to take those barriers out the way, you know, and to help them identify those barriers. So really, trying to help that that client feel comfortable comes down massively to something that Haytham mentioned earlier on, and that's trust. You know, you're going to get no worries, buddy. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, no worries, mate. Cheers. Okay, guys, cool. So while Haytham dodges off, so yeah, we've talked about inductions. We'll look at fitness assessments and PAR-Qs. That's something else that you guys are going to be doing. You know, you will be like I say, we'll look at a couple of examples as well, but you'll actually get a chance to design your own fitness assessment, which will be, you know, if you were taking a new client on and you wanted to check things about their health, you know, be it their weight, blood pressure, you know, we might be checking blood pressure. It could be sort of body composition, skin fold measurements, you know, be it using calipers to work out body fat, that kind of thing. There's so many different things that we can use to help sort of assess where somebody is in terms of fitness when they come to us, which of course then can help inform not only any specific things that you need to consider when you're putting a training plan together for them or telling them what they should be doing, and even more importantly, what they should be staying away from. You know, we can, like I say, we can actually start to personalize stuff to them just by, even from a fitness assessment, we can start to say, okay, this is where you're at, this is what I would avoid, this is what I would recommend prioritizing now, this is where I would start to work now. You know, yes, I know you would like to get a little bit, I know you'd like to lose a little bit of weight, but at the same time, we need to work on your flexibility and your mobility to do, or to start doing a lot of exercises that's going to speed up that weight loss. I've done that before, you know, where I've had to help people get to the point where they can do exercises like burpees and even star jumps and stuff like that, you know, stuff that's really big, sort of good calorie burners. I've had to build people up to that point before. So, you know, that gives you an idea just through a fitness assessment, right? Okay, then they're pretty good at this, they're not so good at this, they struggle with that. This causes them pain. It can give you an idea where to start pointing them. And then a PAR-Q is just going to give, it's a chance not only for you to gather as much information as possible about that person, but again, it's a chance for the gym member or the client to let you know about any of their own circumstances, you know. And we'll have a good look at a PAR-Q, and you guys will get a chance to design your own later on in the course as well. Of course, but looking at things like, you know, on a PAR-Q, you might be asking somebody if they're on any medication that they're on, you know, any injuries or surgeries or operations that they've had in the last couple of years, you know, that sort of thing. Are they pregnant? Any of that, you know, is going to help you. It's going to help you assess, again, where they are at the minute, in terms of fitness, in terms of ability, what you need to stay away from. Because, of course, if somebody says on their PAR-Q, I'm pregnant, the last thing you're going to do is be like, right, burpees for you. 100 sit-ups, yeah. And when you're done with them, into burpees, and then just to finish that up, just go out and do this little park run for us, please. That'd be nice. Do you know what? That is the sort of stuff that you're going to be able to really sort of identify early on and help that person again start making good choices about the way that they're training, and again, even sometimes the food choices that they're making. You know, PAR-Q might give somebody an option to say, do you know what, I'm vegetarian, that sort of thing. You know, it depends what you put on your PAR-Q, but at the end of the day, it is pretty much a client or a gym member acknowledging and stating that they are ready to engage in some kind of physical activity, you know, be it a class, any kind of fitness journey. Before you start it, you should be filling in a PAR-Q or sort of thinking about the stuff that's on a PAR-Q. And I guess worst case scenario, really, you might be just asked to go to your GP just to get clearance. Tell them what you're planning on doing, what your training plan will actually look like, and then they can say, look, either yes, I advise that you go and do that, or no, I would advise that you hold off from that for a little bit, because as much as I would say 95% of the time, I would say to people, just you know what, try exercising more. A lot of the problems that you've got going on may be due to lack of exercise. I'm not then going to sort of prohibit you from doing exercise or discourage you from doing exercise. But at the same time, it might be someone who's coming back from, they might have had a surgery or an operation or something like that. Just for example, again, because it's something that I've worked with in the past, someone who's had like a pacemaker put in or a heart bypass, there's only so much you can ask that heart to do early doors and at certain stages of the recovery process, so that individual might be told, hold off 3 months and then we'll reassess, or in 3 months go back, and I'm more than happy for you to just crack on in whatever it's going to be. So there are times where an individual needs to think about not engaging in that physical activity. Like I say, as much as we're always encouraging it, there are times where it's more beneficial not to. So again, that's all information we can pull off a PARQ. This chance that we've got to, again, find out as much information about somebody as we can, really, and use that again to inform their training program and the advice that you're going to give them. PARQ might be the first information that you really get about people. Again, from a PT's point of view. So I used to pay X amount of rent, and to reduce that rent, I would give the gym 10 hours of my time for them to book their members, because the members were theirs. I'm self-employed. The gym members were their gym members. They would book in their gym members with me for an induction, so I wouldn't even sign them up for the induction. So this is the first I would actually be hearing about them, really. I come into the gym, I see who's booked in for their inductions that day. I can then go onto the system and pull up their PARQ that they've signed, and I'd say, okay, so they're a heavy smoker, they haven't exercised for 10 years, they've got a bad knee. Of course, it's a chance for you to learn their name, which is, of course, really important. Helping. Yeah, sometimes it really is, because do you know what? The value in using that name to help them feel welcome and engaged is massive, so I would always advise in trying to engage with somebody in their name, especially when you first meet them. I know that handshakes are a big no-no right now, but I'm sure that
actually, I don't know. Are we still no handshake? I don't know.
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. I would imagine that they're still sort of discouraging unnecessary physical contact.
Yeah.
You are?
They probably still are bad, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's a lot to be said, again, from the fitness professional point of view. Nice warm welcome, nice and polite, friendly, welcoming them to the group. And especially when it came to PT, I always wanted people to feel like a celebrity turning up. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I want that little bit of a little bit of a specialist treatment. I'm like, right, we're ready to go. I've got your certain people would come in. I'd know that they wouldn't bring a bottle of water. They would just never bring a bottle of water. So I'd get a beaker and fill it up. I'm like, right, let's go. I know that you maybe like to spend 5 minutes wasting time out of your session because it's less that we're going to be doing on the gym floor. Now I've got your drink ready to go. Let's get ourselves up there and we're ready to rock. Yeah, pretty much. But again, that greeting that you give them is going to go a long way. Going back to the PARQ, can you take somebody's date of birth can actually give you a good idea, kind of. You've got to be careful how much you do assume, but it can certainly give you an idea. If you've got somebody who's 70-year-old coming in, you're going to be treating them, not necessarily treating them, but training them differently and giving them different advice to if it was someone who's 21, and you can straight away get an idea in your mind who it is that you're looking for coming through the front door. And again, just giving them a nice warm welcome as well. So PARQ is going to give you a lot of information, a lot of basic stuff that's going to be on pretty much all of them. And then you might notice as you go from venue to venue, gym to gym, whatever it is, some PARQs are different. My PARQ that I gave people was an additional one on top of what the gym asked, because I wanted it for my own records. I wanted to be able to refer to it at any time. And at the same time, because I was using it to plan a program and a proper training program, and I preferred to ask for extra information. You know, I would have extra questions on there, you know, so I can find out even more and personalize things even more, you know. So again, there was a lot that can come from a lot of information that can come from a PARQ that makes the whole training process a lot easier, and gives that client a really good start. You know. Okay.
I mention it all the time. It helps,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Of course it does, buddy. Of course
Probably
it does.
helps them a little bit more than they realise as well.
Oh, is that sorry? The client.
The client.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think that a lot of the time it's just it's another form to sign, because you've normally done your direct debit or whatever it is. You've normally signed your gym terms of use.
Yeah.
You know, proper terms of use and all of that sort of thing. And it's just always another bit of paperwork. But it is used quite a lot to benefit the gym member. And the member of staff as well, in terms of gym liability. If you injure yourself doing something that you probably shouldn't have been doing because you've had knee surgery 6 months ago, it's going to help the gym out a lot, you know, if that person hasn't declared that on their PARQ. You know, if you haven't declared that on your PARQ, your PARQ is going to save you a lot in when it comes to the legal side of things, because the client had a chance to disclose that information and chose not to.
Yeah.
You know, so again, it can help both parties, and it kind of it's not just another piece of paperwork that needs filling in, as much as it might feel like it, and as much as, you know what, I've always acknowledged it when people come in and they sit down to do this bit. I'm like, all right, here we go. Here's the paperwork. Here's the not so nice bit. But you know what? Once it's done, it's done. And I feel that even sometimes acknowledging that has helped them just relax and just like, okay, let's get it done and let's go. You know, but yeah, the amount of information that we can pull off it from an instructor's point of view is actually quite massive. And can be really sort of, again, like I say, really informative.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. So we're looking at PARQs, like say fitness testing, doing it safely, planning your own, and then working with clients. Aside from paperwork and PARQs, how do we work with clients to keep them and yourself safe? And again, we're going to be touching on things like, you know, if you're doing a client's circumference measurements and you're going to be, you know, up in their personal space a little bit, of course, give them a heads up what you're going to be doing first before you even start it. But I would always keep yourself in a visible area, not necessarily a highly populated area, because who wants to be stood and measured in like the busiest part of the gym? But at the same time, don't be going off to the changing room when there's just the two of you. You know, as much as it might be for privacy, you leave yourself exposed to all kinds of claims, you know, wrongful claims, harmful claims, that you know what, you can just do without, you know. Yeah, that sort of thing, you know, making sure that you're safe, and the client knows what to expect, and of course that you're doing everything safely for yourself and for the client as well. That is something that's really important, that we need to take a look at later on in the course. Okay, guys, so that was our safe working practices. So just coming back to the first unit and just giving us a little bit of an idea where we're going to sort of push on next week. If we can go to the next slide, please, buddy. So we're just coming back to those different vocational areas. And I guess now we're going to start doing a little bit of digging and like I say, try and find out what areas actually sort of appeal to yourself. You know, what would you like to try? What would you like to maybe find out a little bit more about? Like we can see on the screen there, you know, we've got different areas. We've got hairdressing, we've got IT, digital media, business, childcare, social care, retail and customer service, health and fitness, engineering and manufacturing. And that's kind of just touching the tip of the iceberg, isn't it, really, buddy? I've noticed more and more. The older I get, the more I realise there's a job out there doing everything. Like
always.
The jobs that you wouldn't think about are jobs that need doing. Like they're jobs that need doing. It's like somebody's got to be doing them, you know. So there's a lot more scope and there's a lot more option out there than we might realise, you know. And like I sort of mentioned earlier on, even within these different vocational areas, we've got lots of different job roles and lots of different responsibilities. If we can go to the next slide, please, bud. We can see these start to break down a little bit, you know. So when we're talking about hairdressing, you know, we've got stylists, we've got shampooists, we've got you might be a color technician, or all you deal with is or what you specialize in is like dyeing hair and stuff like that. You know, that's its own job and its own role within the hairdressing and within the beauty sort of industry. IT, we've got software developer, project manager. There's probably a lot more to do with IT. I guess do apps count as software development?
Yeah.
Buddy, I'm going to say you'll know a little bit more than I do, you know. So be it sort of like be it like app development, that sort of thing. Digital media, you know, which is almost kind of IT, but not at the same time. We've got, you know, you might be a marketing or a social media specialist, you know. Hitham, you can probably name one or two different in those areas. To be honest,
yeah, I mean, you've got web developers, app developers.
There you go. Yeah, of course.
IT technicians, systems analysts, cybersecurity experts. There's all sorts of stuff. IT is everything you can imagine.
Yeah, and I imagine it's only expanding and going to expand.
Oh yeah, I mean the biggest industry in the world is cyber at the minute.
That's interesting. It's no surprise.
It's the biggest growing industry that is. It's man.
Yeah, and do you know what I think that the last year as well has shown, of course, how important it is and can be, and sort of realizing how sort of helpful it can be to be clued up with certain things, you know, like even the sort of things that you guys do on the digitals, on the skills side of things, you know, be it using an email, you know. I can't imagine having get through the last year without using an email.
Yeah,
you know,
it's impossible. There's no, I mean, the last year's sort of done it, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, if that is something that you if that is an area that you're interested in, you could definitely or should definitely check out the digital skills side of things that these guys do, because like I say, I think that it's been a learning curve for me because I've never been great with technology, and like I say, the last year has just realized how much you need to really. So again, definitely, if those are areas that you feel like you struggle with, definitely check out some of the stuff that the digital side do. And of course that'll be like on the website, and just drop us an email if you need to find anything more about that. But yeah, there are so many different jobs available, you know, sort of within that vocation alone. You know, then we look at business. You know, we're talking at HR. You know, human resources, finance. You know, again, might you be sort of like a project manager or a project developer or something like that. You know, a lot of different roles within sort of like the business area. Childcare, you know, teacher, nursery teacher, nurse, childminder, babysitter, any of that sort of thing. Social care, you know, we've got care workers, occupational therapists. You know, it might be to do with more on the mental health side of things. You know, it could be you know, working with individuals, you know, that do need a little bit of mental health support and all of that sort of stuff. Retail and customer service, you could be retail manager, personal shopper. You know, you might be like I was in retail at one point. I was just designated to be on the shop floor and just to help people. You know, that is in some shops, in some businesses, that is a role within itself. You know, all of that sort of thing. Like Argos is pretty much like you because that was where I did my first job, Argos, and I didn't realize even just within there how many different roles there would be, you know, because it's not the stereotypical shop, is it? It's every other shop said, right, here's the aisles, go and pick what you want and bring it to the till. Argos went, nah, pick through a catalogue, tell us what you want and we'll go and get it. You know, so we, of course, you've got people stocking the warehouse, people stocking the shelves, people on the till, you know, people working back behind the scenes who are, you know, managing other staff, team leaders, developing targets, all of that sort of stuff. So even within retail alone, there's a lot of different aspects that you could be doing. So just because, you know, the idea of being on the till, just for example, because that was the one I absolutely hated being on the till. I think it's just me and technology. Like, I was just much happier either in the stock room picking the stuff and sending it down the conveyor belt, or I was happier at the bit, where you collection point number B, please, or collection point A, where you like give it to them and stamp the receipt. I much preferred being there. Like I used to break out in a cold sweat when I'd get in there, and the rotor said I was on the tills for the day. Yeah,
no.
yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of jobs. They don't all have to appeal to you. So again, just doing a little bit of digging, seeing what's available. A job position that you come across when you start looking, or when we're looking on that do-it.life. It might say, look, team member needed to do all of the above. Sort of stockroom work, customer facing work, managing tills. That might be all on the post that says that you need to really have skills in those areas. Or it might just say, look, we need someone to, it might be a shelf stacker. We need someone to come and stack shelves. Then you know what you're going to be doing. Do you necessarily need experience with technology and using tills and stuff like that? Probably not, because it's not part of the job or the role that you're applying for. So again, just because we're looking within the same vocational area, like within retail for this example, it doesn't mean to say that just because one role isn't suitable or it doesn't appeal to you, it doesn't mean that others won't, which is why it's going to be such a handy tool to have this do-it.life, because even if you're looking at a paid position rather than a volunteered one, you can still start to get an idea of, okay, this is what the role is, this is what skills and sort of qualities they're asking for. So you can assume it's going to be the same in the same, but we're in like a paid position, Yeah, cool. Health and fitness, of course, is what we've talked about quite a lot, and we'll be talking about quite a lot over the next 10 weeks. Like I say, you've got gym managers, you've got sort of like sales managers, which is two totally different jobs. Personal trainer, you might have someone who is in charge of maintaining the gym floor in terms of putting weights away, making sure machines are wiped down. All of that sort of thing. Again, I've mentioned secretary, somebody on the front desk who's booking people in for park queues, giving them the correct paperwork to sign up when they come in, making sure that they get the right forms for the right direct debit for the membership they're signing up for. Are they peak? Are they off peak? You're going to make sure you're getting the right thing, and that's normally the secretary that's going to be giving you that paperwork to sign. So again, they keep that environment flowing, just like in any other environment, really. But again, that wasn't anything that I'd thought of really within the fitness environment. But yeah, somebody on the front desk is pretty much a staple in most gyms, isn't it? Does your gym have somebody just sort of chilling on the front desk, Bert, or is it just sort of like an open area where sort of staff will just dodge behind from time to time?
Yeah, they have an office and they just sort of chill in there. Really, they don't bother
okay.
coming out too often.
Yeah, so not really like any designated front desk or reception or anything like that. Oh, okay. So
the uni one does, but the one in Shields doesn't. No, just 24 hours. So it just, there is always a member of staff in, but they're just not necessarily there and visible.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, which is again something you can get from your induction.
Yeah.
Is there going to be an area that you can go to and just ask questions, or do you know what is there going to be, even other little things like, is there a coffee for you to have a cuppa afterwards? For some people, that's quite important in choosing what gym they're going to go to. Yeah. What other facilities have they got? Have they got a sauna? Have they got a swimming pool? All of that. That's other stuff that we're going to factor in as well.
Definitely.
These might be jobs in themselves. We used to have somebody in charge of maintaining the swimming pool. That was a health and fitness job. Then like you say, we had a cafe, so we had someone who was in charge of doing like fresh omelets and stuff like that. So again, that's within the health and fitness sort of area itself as well. So don't be, and the same with all these other areas. Try not to get into this mindset of, okay, this one job that I associate with this area doesn't really appeal to me, so there's nothing in that area for me.
I'm not going to bother.
I'm not going to bother. Yeah, there might be something that really does appeal to you. One of the best examples I could probably think of, and of course, like a personal example, would be when I was working in the factory. I absolutely hated being on the line and being stood in the same spot all day, every day. Like the line would move, you'd blow off the parts with the spray gun so there was no dust on them when they went to get painted. That would take you 10 seconds. you then had to kill another 50 seconds until the line moved again. So it was like, all I would end up doing, I'd be like, spray, check the clock, spray, check the clock. And you're literally clock checking every minute. And it made
down
you,
the minutes that
mate, it used to drive me. It used to drive
whenever it was.
Yeah. And the option came to move into going behind the scenes and being the person that was mixing the paint and supplying it to the painters.
Yeah.
And I went and did that, mate. And you know what? I actually really enjoyed that. I had a little bit more independence because I had like my own sort of science lab out the back, really, for mixing these paints and thinners and handling these chemicals and stuff. I pretty much had my own space out the back, you know, a little bit of independence. I found the job more engaging. It was interesting to learn, you know, mixing all of these different things that you need to do to make sure that the paint's not too thick and whatever. And I found that job so much more engaging. And it just changed the way that I viewed the job that I was doing, really. Yeah. Granted, I was doing a totally different job. I was working for the same company in the same industry, you know. So from there, I made it my point to learn as many of the different jobs in the factory as possible. So it's like, yeah, okay, we've got a paint mixer on that shift. We don't need you, Rob, but if you can come in and do like taking stuff off the line at the other end and packing it in the boxes, you can come in and do overtime this weekend because we need somebody to do that. Champion, happy days, you know. The more I realised which area suited me best, the more I learned and the more I looked into it, you know. And we're going to use exactly the same sort of principle when we're just sort of digging through these different vocations. Okay, so the last one that we've got on there is engineering and manufacturing. Sort of links in to what I was just on about there. You know, and again, coming to the engineering, it can be sort of mechanical, structuring, structural engineers and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess just to sort of sum it up, don't let the idea of that one job that you always think about of in that vocation, don't let it sort of dominate and dictate and think that that's the only job that's available within that area. Yeah, cool. Right, guys. So just to finish us up, got a little bit of an activity to do next, actually. If you don't mind loading the next slide, buddy. Yeah, if you don't mind, we'll just spend sort of maybe even just 10 minutes on this, and then we'll work through the answers because we've got an answer slide ready to go next. So what we're looking at here is actually personal skills and qualities that are going to help you in a job role, pretty much no matter what job role that is. Yeah, so yeah, just have a little bit of a think, see which ones we can get. So over time, you will become more something within your job. 7 across, something that you need to achieve your goal. 8 across, something that you need to be at all times. 9 across is a quality that helps keep you dedicated. And 10 across is a skill that makes your job easier and more controlled. So, you know, I'm sure we'd all like to be good at those things, better at those things, have those things in whatever our day-to-day jobs are. So yeah, these skills, these qualities are what's going to help us get there. So the down clues. So we've got 1 down, something you need to be when being told something confidential. Number 2, something that's expected towards your patients. I guess that's meant to say patience. Yeah, that's definitely meant to say patience. Yeah, number 4, being something towards people will help them from being worried when in your care. 5, something that you need to be able to work well with others. And 6, this will help you get along with other people by being blank. So yeah, just spend 10 minutes or so on that and see what we can which of those we can get, and then yeah, me and Haytham will just blast through them on the answer slide and we'll break them down a little bit. Okay, cool, guys. Right, buddy. So yeah, I have actually got an answer slide ready to go, so you don't need to worry about trying to get a head start and working through as we go. You know, like I say, we'll get a look and have a little bit more to talk about as yeah, as we start working through the answers. Yes, without drowning us out.
Like a tiny little the mixing is not going well.
That's it. Is it like the setting on the shower where it's like a little difference makes like a huge jump.
Like one twist of the tap and that's it, you're dead.
Yeah, it's either like icy waters or like the fires of Mount Doom, and like there's no in between. Yeah.
There is literally no in between. There's no way around it.
Cool. Yeah. You guys will get used to a little bit of quiz music while we're on a morning. Definitely. So, whenever we're doing any of these sort of activities, and again, I know you've probably come across them in some of the courses that we've done before, but if you do find it a little bit easier to grab a pen and paper, then by all means do, and actually start writing down physically in front of you, because I find that is where I work best. Certainly on paper. I don't know if it's just because I'm a little bit more old school, but yeah, if that makes it a little bit easier, by all means do. Yeah, we'll have a look through in just a minute and see where we're at and see what we can break down, and then we'll be nearly wrapping up for the day, guys. And like I say, don't forget that there's that fitness video to do when we are done. And then just while you guys are having a minute, it's probably worth mentioning that for each session that we do, we're going to attach a survey, which will just take you. It's just a link that you can click that'll take you not even 30 seconds to just fill in the survey. So if you could do that for each session, it helps us do paperwork on this end, and at the same time we love to know your feedback as well. We like to know what we're doing well, and of course where we can develop to meet you guys and your needs even more, and of course just make the course better on a whole. So keep an eye out for that link. It's always going to be in the description for the video. So if you don't mind just filling that in each week, that'll just take 30 seconds or so. And we massively appreciate that.
If you get stuck on the crossword, just pause the video. If you're watching it back.
Yes, of course, yeah. So if me and Hatham, we're going to in a second move on and start through the answers, and you'd like to take a little bit more time and get them all, or get as many as you can, by all means pause it and just catch up with us in a minute. Like I say, take as much time as you need, and of course if you're watching this back, just pause it till you're done pretty much, and you'll be able to come back to this whenever you need to, really. Right, buddy, so if you don't mind then, mate, we'll go on next slide. I've just seen you've put the survey in the chat there as well, buddy. Awesome. Thank you very much, mate. Cool. Okay, right, we'll start working through then.
There's the ones.
We got them, yeah, we got them. Yeah, the screen's just updated my end now. Right, yeah, just in time, just in the nick of time, man.
Just 25 minutes late or whatever.
Yeah, okay, so 3 o'clock. Sorry. Over time, you need something. You'll become more something within your job, and of course that is that you'll become more confident in your job. The more you do something, the more you learn how to do it, the more that you feel as though you're able to do it well. Your confidence is only going to come up, and to an extent, that links in with trying to pick something that is suitable for you. You'll be confident in your abilities to do it, and like I said, and like we say, the more you do it, the more you do it well, the more confident you'll be in your job, and of course, confidence breeds confidence. So that's exactly what we're looking for. 7 across, something that you need to be to achieve your goal. Where is 7 across? Committed, of course, in a smack bang in the middle of the old crossword there. So of course we do. We need to be committed to reach our goal. Some people, you might think that you need to be motivated. Now, motivation is going to help, and motivation is going to also come and go throughout the duration of your fitness plan. You need to be committed to do it, even when you're not feeling motivated, if that makes sense. The motivation will come and go. I've said to people in the gym over the years when they come in I'm not really feeling it today. It's like, well, everybody can do it on the days that they feel like doing it. Everybody can go for a walk on the days that they feel like going for a walk or whatever. It's doing it on the days that you don't feel like doing it that really makes the difference and pushes you towards your goal.
It's them days where you really, really don't want to.
Yeah. So that is where your commitment, and to an extent, maybe a little bit of discipline comes in as well. You need to be committed, because motivation is going to help when it's there, and it's going to also leave you deserted some days that you need it quite badly. And it will do, hopefully the more that you do it, the more you see results, and the more you start to progress, the more that motivation will become natural, and the more it will be there. But certainly when we're starting off, we need to be committed to setting these goals and achieving them, and doing what we need to achieve them.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. Number 8 across. Something you need to be at all times is, of course, professional. If you are in the fitness instructor's point of view, of course, you need to be professional. You need to make sure that you are using appropriate tone and language when you're speaking to people and gym members and clients and stuff like that. You need to make sure that you are protecting their data where necessary. You need to make sure that if you're taking their circumference around their waist and you're getting, like I say, personal information about them, you need to make sure that that is stored somewhere secure and it's not just there for somebody to access whenever. You need to be making sure that you're doing what is expected of you within that professional role. So, of course, at all times, we need to be professional.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9, a quality that helps keep you dedicated. Number 9 is motivation. It helps keep you dedicated. Notice how it doesn't say it will keep you dedicated. Yeah, it will. It
helps.
It helps. It certainly does. And you know what? When it's there, it helps a lot as well. That motivation. But of course, we just mentioned, it's not always going to be there. So it is just another feeling, another tool that we can use to hit our goals. But again, motivation isn't always going to be there. It's a quality that helps keep you dedicated. Yeah. Number 10 then, the skill will make your job easier and more controlled. Sort of circled around it earlier on, it's organization. Of course, the more organized you are, the easier time you're going to have carrying out whatever tasks are sort of being asked of you. I've certainly found that over the years. Like, I've even had, when I had clients would ask me, where is that, what was my weight? What was my weight 12 weeks ago? And I'm like, I've got it written down somewhere. Oh, where is it written down? Where is that written down? It's been 3 months. I've written it down in a hurry somewhere. And then we moved on to your actual PT session. Where on earth have I written that? And of course, being more organized, knowing where stuff's stored, can only help. Even stuff like we're going to come back to later on in the course, and being organized at the start of a circuit. If you're trying to deliver a class to people, them circuit cards actually play a part in keeping you organized and keeping everybody else organized in what's expected of them as well. So yeah, just staying organized, making sure everything's where it should be, making sure that you can do your jobs and your tasks as efficiently as possible. Organization is going to go a long way with that. And again, that sort of loops and comes round, and the more you're doing it well, the more confident you're going to be, and these just sort of link and start to snowball into each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so the down clues that we've got, let's finish these up. So something you need to be when being told something confidential. 1 down is, of course, understanding. A client or a gym member doesn't come to you to tell you something confidential to feel automatically as though they've just been judged straight out of the gate. Potentially, if you're in the position where you potentially know more about them than most people do, have you worked with them in that close capacity? Do you understand their personal circumstances a little bit more? The last thing something needs when they tell you something personal or confidential is being understanding. And again, that comes back to being professional, and again, making sure that if they come to you with something to be worried about, or they come to you with something confidential, you make sure that it stays confidential, of course, which again comes back to being professional. But from the client's point of view, you need to be understanding and not make that person regret telling you the information that they've just told you.
Yeah.
Because chances are, if somebody makes a point of telling you, chances are it's been on their mind for a while and they've been working up some kind of way to address it and to vocalize that. So yeah, you need to be as understanding as possible in that position, really. Okay, so 2 down, something that is expected towards your patients. Respect. We've got respect in there. Again, see how some of these are starting to link in with each other now as well. But of course, respect comes down to, again, things like, are you there on time for your session when you expect them to be? You're probably, as the PT, going to give them a hard time or still charge them for the time that they haven't turned up from. Yeah. If you expect that level of respect from them, like I always said to people, look, if I can write it in a diary and remember to be here on time at that date, you can as well. but again, from both sides of the coin, you know, there needs to be that respecting each other's time and each other's effort, you know, respecting information the clients have given you, you know. It can be certain things that, you know, they maybe have told you confidentially, that you need to respect, you know. Maybe they are a little bit more conscious of doing exercises in front of everybody, you know, in the gym. You know, can you respect that a little bit by giving them a little bit of like a quiet area of the gym, maybe it's a functional area to go away and do their exercises in. And again, respect, we're talking manners, we're talking, you know, communication and letting people know what's expected of them, and of course what you are going to deliver to them as well, you know. So respect goes a long way again in building up that that good experience for the client.
Definitely.
Okay, and number 4, being something towards people will help them from being worried when in your care. Number 4, being, where is number 4? Where is number 4 on there?
Number 4 is
on the right hand side. There we go. The long one on the right. Enthusiastic. You know, they are going to be a lot more engaged in what it is that you're doing. They're going to be a lot more confident in what it is that you're saying, and less worried about, you know, what it is that they're doing. If you're going to be enthusiastic, especially when those worries are a little bit not unjustified. I don't want to use the word unjustified, but when those words are when those worries are a little bit unnecessary, maybe, you know, if they're thinking to themselves, oh my God, I've got to go and do kettlebell swings, and I'm so worried about if I can do kettlebell swings all at the same time, and, you know, I'm really worried about if I let go of it at a certain point, or if I catch somebody on the way past. Like, if you're really enthusiastic about it and their ability to do it, you know, they're much more likely to approach it with a can-do attitude, aren't they? You know, and they're much more likely to buy into what it is that you're doing, and that enthusiasm rubs off as well. I've always found, you know, if you're enthusiastic about what it is that you're doing, and that's coming across in your body language, in your attitude, clients are going to engage you a lot more than if you just walk up to a kettlebell that you've laid on the floor and go 20 swings.
Do it. Pick it up. Go on.
20 swings. Off you go. I'll be over there waiting to tell you to do burpees in 5 minutes. Like, it's just not engaging. It's really not. And of course, there's no enthusiasm there from your point of view either. So that needs to be there, especially in helping people sort of feel relaxed and engaged in what it is that you're doing. Like, it's sort of one of them things. If somebody came up to you and said, do you want to buy this bottle? Yeah, it's all right. You'd be like, I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Someone come up and said, you know, this bottle's amazing. I can fit all my water in for the day. Yeah. You know, it helps me drink more. I've just been getting actually it's a lid for like my stainless steel bottle. It's a digi lid that actually tells you the temperature of the water. Right. It beeps when you haven't drank and opened it in X amount of time.
Yeah, it tells you off.
Yeah, it'll be like, come on, get some H2O in you as well. You know, if I'm like, oh yeah, come on, these bottles are absolutely amazing, you're much more likely to buy into it, aren't you? You know, you're much more likely to become engaged in that.
That's like the thing out of Wolf of Wall Street. Sell me this pen. That's the
yes, yes, that's it. Yeah, what
not
do you
that
do?
Jordan Belfort's a very good role model, like. But,
no, you know, definitely not. Definitely not. But I do love that scene. From a sales point of view.
Definitely like a marketing and sales. Can you sell something kind of deal?
Yeah, sell me this pen. So he takes it off him. Oh, it's brilliant. It really is.
Good. We can't play it, unfortunately, but you
we cannot.
You'll know, and if you haven't, look it up.
Yeah, definitely. I might need to watch that soon, actually. Okay, so last 2 to do. Something you need to be able to work well with others. 5, teamwork. Of course, being able to work in a group, being able to work with others, and of course, apply all of these things to other people as well. You know, respect, understanding, you know, being polite as well, which is the next one and the last one that we've got to look at. Help you get along with people by being polite. Of course, breaking down those barriers and building those relationships within the team that you're working. You know. It goes a really long way, and that might not even be people that you're working directly with, you know. Just for example, Hatham, I think I've seen you in person once since Christmas, maybe.
Yeah, once I think.
Maybe. And of course, now at the minute, everybody's working really remote, but the team that you've got behind you is going to make or break what it is that you can do, you know. And of course, the team that we have got and the team that we sort of strive to have, you know, it hopefully comes across to you guys as well. But it certainly it's a pleasure to be part of, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. You know, it really is, because having a good team around you goes a long way, especially when you've worked in places where you haven't had a good team around you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you can sort of vouch for as well, buddy. Yes, a little bit. Just no atmosphere, no rapport, maybe even no respect from employers. You know.
Yeah.
You know, all of that teamwork goes a long way, and the more you have bad experiences, the more you realize how important that teamwork is, and just helping everybody involved excel and just do their job as well as possible, which is, of course, what we are always striving to do. You know, so a load of skills on there that you can maybe have a little bit of a think about, and you know, these are things that you're going to be considering and needing to consider when we're looking at roles and jobs that we can apply for. Again, either paid or on a voluntary basis. These are the sort of stuff that the post's going to be asking for. You know, if it's something where, I don't know, you might be working as a support line to, you know, even just people have been isolated and cut off quite a lot over the last year. I know that there's been jobs out there for people just to sit on the phone and speak to people and give people a little bit of support. You know, that's really, really good. That is something that I'd say we've definitely needed over the last year, you know. But of course, to do that, you need understanding. You need, you know, you need a little bit of confidence in your job to do it. You need to be polite. You need to be respectful for these people as well. So these are stuff that might have actually been on the job post. So you can actually start thinking about, right, okay, which of these do I feel like I'm good at, and which of these do I feel as though I can actually do with a little bit of work at, you know, because nobody ever is, I don't think, is going to have all of these skills where they want them to be. You know, I think we should always be working on our professionalism and our organization, and certainly our confidence, and just always be developing it. You know, I don't think it's ever like job done.
No, you never get to a point where you just finished like the completed article, because things will change as well. You know what I mean? You'll have to you'll get comfortable in a certain place, and then something will change, and you have to develop in another area.
Yeah, and like Hatham mentioned earlier on, maybe you change your goals and you think, okay, I've hit this point that I said I wanted to be at. Now I can point I need to be, I want to move up into a management role, for example. Then that requires different skills, you know, potentially different qualifications. Then you can start focusing towards that as well, you know. But I would say just, of course, try and do the job that's on hand and do it as well as you can, really. You know, but yeah, these are definitely skills that we're going to be thinking about and engaging with quite a lot over the next 10 weeks. So yeah, just to get the old cogs turning in your mind and getting you to start thinking about which of them you feel apply most to you. List them 1 to what we got 10. Try listing them 1 to 10. What do you feel that you're best at? What do you feel is probably your weakest area? And where do we go from there? How can we come to develop that? Right, guys, cool. That'll do us for the old crossword. Then we've got just one more slide that I want to look at, and then if you don't mind, buddy, we'll just blast across quickly to the workbook and give the guys an idea what they are going to be completing over the next week. So this last slide that we've got, again, just to highlight the point that I was kind of just making there, in the skills and personal qualities that you're going to need are going to vary from role to role, not even vocational area to area, because like we mentioned earlier on, there's loads and loads of different jobs within each vocation, you know. So even just from role to role, personal trainer, you know, in terms of skills, we're thinking about a little bit of emotional intelligence and empathy. You know, I've always said that the job was, when I was doing it, felt like half therapist, you know. People will build up that rapport with you, where they'll come in and they will vent and they will tell you how their week's been and where they're at. And, you know, like, I think a good PT takes that in and sort of factors where that client is on a day-to-day basis. And you can sort of assess, okay, how do I need to approach this person today? How do I need to handle this person today? How do I need to interact with this person today?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I suppose that's everything as well, isn't it? Like, even if you work in a shop, like a corner shop, you'll get the regulars who come. If you work in a pub, there'll be people who come in all the time. Wherever you work, you'd imagine you'd have interactions with the same people quite often. So
yeah, of course. And of course you come to know those people. From a PT point of view, the more you can apply that the better results you can get somebody, because of course you're just understanding them better through that emotional intelligence and a little bit of empathy there as well. Communication skills are really important as well. You know, being able to say to somebody, this is what I expect you to do, and have them go away and have a clear idea of what that is. It might even be in the gym floor, you know, where you're saying to somebody, trying to tell them to do an exercise in the right form. If you can't get that across, you know, you've got a hard task on your hand, because you know what you want that person to do, but the person doesn't know what's expected because you're just struggling to communicate it and get it across. I've mentioned before the lad that qualified on his PT course the same time I did, and he was really knowledgeable. He had sports science degree and all sorts. He just couldn't relate and interact with people in a way that kept them coming back and get them results, because he didn't have the confidence and the communication skills to get across the information that he needed to, you know, which ultimately, you know, led him to decide, okay, this job it's not for me, you know, and he moved on and went and did something else. Motivation's a big one as a PT, especially the capacity that I did it in, being self-employed. Motivation to floor walk and meet new people and talk to new people and generate leads and generate clients and stuff like that. You've got to be motivated to do it, because if you just want to sit there and just go and turn up for your PTs, like, you're only going to have a certain amount of PTs, because how are you generating them otherwise?
Yeah.
You know, you just turn up for your PT and then leave. Where are you getting clients from? You know, so that motivation is there quite a lot, you know. Of course, there's the technical knowledge that comes in from the sort of almost the specialist understanding and the specialist training that we do to get our level 3 qualification. And you know what, mate? One of the biggest ones that I didn't even realize I was going to need is patience.
Yeah.
Is patience, because just because you know what you're trying to say doesn't mean that they're going to understand it first time. And the more frustrating thing is when they understand it first time and they don't go away and actually apply it. And like, you've got to have patience enough to not say, well, do you know what? Like, if I'm going to try and help and you're not going to listen, what are we doing here? You know, you've got to have that patience to be able to kind of correct that person and get them doing the right thing, while being aware that just because it falls quite naturally to you and you've got quite a good idea of what they should be doing doesn't necessarily mean that that person does. You know, so yeah, you do need to have a little bit of patience. You might have the same person, the same client, ask you the same nutritional question 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have a little bit of patience, because just because you, or in this case me, talk about carbs all day, macros all day, protein all day, fats all day, doesn't mean that that person's got that, understands that jargon, you know, or can apply that, you know. So yeah, you've got to have a little bit of patience, or you've got to have a lot of patience. I'm going to be honest, you've got to have a lot of patience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Personal qualities, of course, coming back to some of the stuff we just mentioned: professional, personable, adaptive is an important one. Being passionate about what it is that you're doing. Of course, educated, we sort of mentioned a second ago, and of course, being a good listener as well. They're all personal qualities as opposed to direct skills, I would say. And then we look at what would be required of a care worker. You know, maybe it's a little bit more organization involved. Maybe it's a little bit more multi-stage sort of process to go through. You need to be able to plan from day one and carry it through. Communication skills are the same. Of course, thinking on your feet is stuff that I've had to do as a PT over the years as well. But again, certain jobs, care work, you're probably going to need to do that quite a lot more. You've got to be reliable, especially in care, probably more so than PT. You know, I've talked about the importance of being reliable and turning up when you say you're going to be there for your client. But when it's a care worker and we're dealing with potentially much higher physical or mental health stakes, you know, you need to be a lot more reliable, and of course highly observant to pick up on changes in your client or the patients that you're working with, you know, to maybe alert you to any issues that are coming up, or anything that changes, and start to try and assess and analyze why things have changed, and just make sure that it's not for negative reasons, I guess. Then we've got personal qualities: keep a cool head and be patient. Because, of course, again, care worker, you don't know the nature of the people that you're going to be working with. You could be coming across some really challenging behaviour, a willingness to listen, natural passion for helping others, of course, a sunny demeanour and disposition. So just that friendly, happy outlook on life, maybe, and then the old high levels of empathy as well, being able to relate to what that person's going through. So we can see where some of the crossover is, and then we can see where some of the differences as well, in the sort of skills and qualities that might be expected of you while sort of in these job roles. So it says at the bottom of the slide there, can you now take a moment to look at a few other job roles and discuss skills and qualities needed? And that's what we're going to do over the course of the next week. So if you don't mind just going to the last slide, buddy, just so the guys have got something to come back to. So the reason that I've done this and the reason that it'll always be there is when you'll come back to revisit any of this or fill in your workbook, I want you to be able to go back to this last slide to double check what workbook it is, what pages that you need to be doing, etc., you know, rather than needing to listen to the 2-hour session again and trying to find the little bit where we're talking about workbooks and stuff like that. So this will always be here for you to come back to. So what we're going to do first and foremost really is become familiar with the doit.org or the doit.life. That one needs changing as well. I've caught myself out twice this morning.
I'll find it.
Cheers, buddy.
Because it took the hyphen out, which is what keeps throwing it. So
did it?
Do it like that. The hyphen's gone, so it's like that.
Yes, I thought it was. Yeah, it's just doit.org, isn't it? Yeah.
.life like that. It's all just like one word.
Yeah. So we'll actually take a bit of time next week to look at that site. It was something that we did last time. I don't know how Daniel did it, what wizardry worked, but he did some kind of screen share where rather than going through it step by step like this, we actually booted it up last time. So we'll try and do that next week, and we'll actually have a look at that website and just start navigating it, so you guys can have a little bit of an idea what's on there. In the meantime, have a little bit of a look yourself. Have a little bit of a look and see what you can figure out. See what you can break down. And you're then going to be doing pages 2, 3, and 4 in your participating vocational tasters workbook. So if you don't mind just booting that up quick, buddy, so we can have a little look at that. Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
And then download it. In fact, I can probably open it from the audio. Hang on. 2 seconds. I'm loading it from the link, but my computer has decided that everything's going to open all at once now. So just
okay, handy.
We'll just open all the programs and do all the updates all in this tiny window of 10 minutes. Participating in vocational tasters.
That is the one, buddy. That is the one.
2, did you say?
Yeah. So we're going to be pages 2, 3, and 4, for homework. Where we are, I'm just loading that workbook up on my end as well, rather than trying to read it.
Describe 2 job roles in 3 different vocational areas, which you've obviously got on the slides, and
we've talked about that today. Yeah.
A little chat about the IT ones, but obviously there's the care sector, like you've just talked about. There's the fitness sector.
Of course,
There's a lot you've covered today.
Yeah, you'll be able to go back and there we go, it's just loaded up there. So yeah, go back and check the slides. Of course, it's not an exam or anything like that. You can by all means go back and revisit anything on the slides, which is why I try and make it as kind of easy and straightforward to do that as possible, really. So yeah, we've got pages 2 where we're filling in those 2 different job roles in 3 different vocational areas. So pick your 3 areas, pick your 2 job roles within. Think about and apply identify skills, knowledge, and personal qualities to perform one of those job roles from the area. So for each vocational role, pick one of the 2 jobs that you've picked, and then break it down even further and do your skills, your knowledge, and your personal qualities for that job role. Same again for vocational area B and C. So we've got all 3 of those. And then where are we? Page 5. Don't worry so much about page 5 this week. By all means, fill it in if you feel comfortable to. But that is something we can definitely get done next week when we are using that website, and we can actually look at some, we can get our company names and locations. We can get an idea what the role is. We can ask what our duties and our responsibilities are. and then from there we can start to look at what they're actually asking for in terms of, or what they're looking for in terms of skills, qualities, and then we can start to fill in that box as well and just get a really good idea of what is going to be, like I say, appealing to you and suitable to you as well. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about page 5 this week, but if you do have a look on that website and you feel confident cracking on and giving it a go, by all means do, you know. Cool. Right, guys. Well, thank you.
So that's in the description, but I'll post it into the chat now.
Excellent, bud. Thank you very much. So yeah, that workbook will be available. Download it, keep it somewhere safe, stick it in its own little file somewhere. And then, like I say, when the workbook's done, if you want to send it across to me, that's cool. If you want to wait till all 4 workbooks are done and send it in one whack at the end of the course, that's fine as well. However you want to do it.
And your email's in there if anyone's having trouble downloading it. For whatever reason, I can't send it back to you or anything. Obviously, get in touch via email. If you're having trouble with the email, drop the Facebook page a message.
Yes, of course.
Someone will get the message to Rob. If you message us on there, it'll filter through to Rob.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, as always. Well, thanks for sticking them in the chat, buddy. So everything's in the chat and in the description below the video that you might need. Like we sort of mentioned earlier on, please don't forget to do that survey. Like I said, not even 30 seconds, and it's a huge help to us. Feedback's really important as well. And failing that, that is about everything that I've got to add this morning. We will, of course, be back for week 2 next Tuesday. I should have changed that to Tuesday. I'll do that next week. We'll be back next Tuesday, of course, 10 o'clock till 12:30 for a brand new session as well. I'll have to remember to do that on every week as we're going through.
Days round, so now we're all, let's see, Tuesday, definitely Tuesday.
We are definitely Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Right, guys, so that'll about do us then. So I hope you've had a good first session, enjoyed your first session. Like I say, by all means, reach out if there's any questions that you do want to ask, if there's anything that you're not too sure about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for Haytham for jumping on this morning as well, buddy. Appreciate it. Holding down the fort on that end. Yeah, definitely, buddy.
See everyone next week, hopefully.
Yeah, have a good week, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys next Tuesday. Have a good one.
Yeah, see you.
Take care. Bye.
Right, as it